Chapter 8, In the Hunt. Morning of the hunting party, you and your husband eat breakfast in silence. Your conversation with Nat weighs heavily on your mind. I can't believe he spoke to me so coldly. He can't really intend to leave so soon, can he? And if he does, it will just be Lawrence and me in this big house, strangers with nothing to say to one another. The Duke munches away at his meal. There must be something you can find in common, if not romantically, then intellectually. Lawrence, you... Sure, we'll go with must teach me more about business. I was thinking. There are far too many moving pieces for you to understand, Sophie. Do continental vendors not pay you to facilitate the shipping of their goods into the country? It's not that simple. Vendors from outside the country pay me to... Well, yes, I guess it is that simple. You wait for him to offer some new information, but he sighs and returns to his broadsheet, annoyed at your acumen. I suppose it's a lonely chest future to look forward to. Lovely. Thoughts of your impending future loom heavily after breakfast. Not much that you almost bump into Nate, hurrying into the opposite direction. Oh, good morning, dear Grace. Caught off guard, your response with a phrase you've never uttered in your entire life. Top of the morning to you, Mr. Pippin. All I hear is Jack when I see that. What are you saying, Sophie? It's just Nate. The man who sets your soul aflame and feels nothing for you. You each make as if to move past, but the hall is small, bringing your bodies close. The air between you feels thick with tension. Apologies, Duchess. He gently takes you by the waist, his fingers barely tightening on your corset, before he swiftly brushes past. You remain still too flustered with embarrassment to sneak even a glance at him. You relish the ghost of his touch on you. Is this how things will be from the remainder of his time here? How is it that so much has changed since yesterday? Later, Camel breezes into the room with a pile of freshly laundered undergarments. She pauses when she sees your expression. What troubles you, Your Grace? I can grab you some tonic if you're feeling unwell. Oh, I got into a bit of a tuff with the Duke. Are you certain Mr. Pippin is not the cause? Ever heard him speaking with Miss Fortigne about tutoring position, and I saw your clumsy interaction with him in the hallway just now. Well, yes. I recently learned that our lessons are only a temporary arrangement. Honestly, it has me feeling rather hopeless. When I arrived here, I spent most of my time alone without family. The gentry gossip about me. My husband doesn't understand me, but Nate, he made me think my life could be fuller, that it could be more. I'll be so lonely once he's left. I'm a fool for thinking it would last, and for endangering the security I've gained for my family, or for someone who has no intent to stay. You deserve better than the Duke, Your Grace, and it's entirely understandable for you to be upset at having found better, only to lose it. Thank you, Campbell, but guilt aside, there's still the heartbreak. You wouldn't have a tonic for that, would you? In a sense. Camel opens your wardrobe, revealing an absolutely elegant hunting costume. This is stunning, but how will this ease my mood? 'Cause the crotch goes bzzz. No. I do not apologize for that joke, I'm serious. I just don't. Perhaps not, but why should you be the only one hurting? Seeing you in a devastatingly handsome dress like this would be bound to make him suffer. I don't wish ill upon him, Campbell. Alright, but a dress like this would bound to make him seek reconciliation with you, or at least show him what he missed. I dig it. Kind of reminds me, if you guys have been tuning in, to my sorcerer who's in red and gold right now. I kind of dig it. You run your hands over the fine red silk as Campbell helps you change, marveling at the way it hugs your every curve. You were right, Campbell. This is the perfect tonic to heartbreak. You'll surely be the envy of the men as well as the women. I'd wager Mr. Pippin will spend the entirety of the hunting party with his jaw on the forest floor. Unlikely, though I think it's worth trying. Some hours later, when you arrive at the Smithwaite estate, the Duke seeks the company of men, leaving you to seek out Cecily. If looks could kill, you needn't a firearm at all. I'm merely trying to keep up with you. I appreciate the flattery, Huntress. I wasn't sure you'd come to this sort of thing. And how glad I am that I have. I had no idea the Smithwaites had such a grand estate. It is grand, isn't it? Phil has been managing it while his brother is in London. Unfortunately, my husband is visiting family. Such an unlucky timing. I'll simply have to join Philip on the hunt instead. How tragic. Will Mr. Pippin join us? He looks the hunting sort. I'd trust him to be competent with a gun more than most men here. You glance over at him, laughing. It feels like your stomach is in knots. I'd rather hear about your plans to hunt with Philip. Confusion momentarily flashes across her face. Recognizing the plea in your eyes to avoid the topic, she nods. Be careful what you ask for, Sophie. I can and will talk about Philip all day long. As if summoned, Nate crosses the lawn. Your heart pounds for several excruciating seconds as you pretend not to notice his approach. Good to see you again so soon, Viscountess Wharton. Have you been well? Oh, yes. Even better as I go to find Philip. Good seeing you, Mr. Pippin. After she leaves, you manage to meet his eyes, only to find his expression panicked, as if he's searching for how to talk to you. Forgive my speechlessness, Duchess. You look absolutely breathtaking. Dangerous, even. Your heart flutters at the way his eyes flicker down your body, roaming over the fabric clinging to your curves. You almost forget yourself, ready to fall back into your regular rhythm with him, before you remember the way he spoke to you yesterday. Thank you for saying so. Campbell does look after me. Yes, well, the Viscountess has a way of making these things more engaging with her presence. You force a smile in an attempt to maintain civility, but masking your hurt is proving to be harder than masking your desire was. Cecily knows how to keep everyone on their toes, including me. I thought that was my job. Steps closer to you enough that you catch his familiar scent. You take a step back, fighting his pull. Perhaps at one point it was your job. Is it not still? You're trying to snap yourself out of this state, knowing a public spat would be detrimental, but you fear the floodgates are already open. Were you planning to find your next pupil among the guests? Sophie, I plan on doing no such thing. But eventually you will, or don't you remember what you last said to me? I don't understand. Not long ago you feared that my lessons could threaten your family's security. I was never supposed to remain. It's not that you're just leaving, it's that you disregarded how I... You stop yourself, catching sight of Philip corralling the guests together. You take a deep, centering breath and walk to join the assemblage. First off, welcome to my family home. I'm honored to be your host this weekend, particularly as I rarely get to play the role. The footmen bring in some hounds of varying sizes over to Philip. The guests smile in delight, some sticking out their hands to pet them. Ladies will help the men reload their guns as needed. Gentlemen, I've taken the liberty of assigning you to different sections of the estate. Quite right. I wouldn't want any inferior hunters trampling him out and scaring out the game before we're ready. Hunters? I thought you said this was a bunting party, my dear. You notice for the first time that Mr. Bidmore is holding an assortment of colorful ribbons. Mina buries her face in her hands, mortified. Oh, you're welcome to take that to the library if you'd rather be making flags. Consider the servants at your disposal, Francis. Excellent. It is said that every bullet fired into the heavens grounds a baby angel. I refuse to court heavenly wrath with that contraption. But what am I to do if you're not participating? Does this not throw off my numbers? Perhaps not. I can take Mr. Bitmore's place in the hunt. What is he doing? What an utterly improper notion. Surely you can understand the indecency of me partnering with a man who isn't my husband. Come now, Miss Bitmore. There's no need to concern yourself with propriety. Today's hunt is for sport. Why don't I pair with someone more familiar with me? Someone such as, like, the Duchess. Me. Your jaw drops at his boldness, calling you familiar before the entire party. Everyone's eyes turn towards you, including your husband's. If he wants to babysit Sophie, fine by me. I've never taken her on a hunt. It'd be damn shame if she ruined the day for me. Even before a crowd, Lawrence can't help but belittle me. The Duchess greatly impressed me during our archery lesson. Perhaps she can show everyone what she's capable of. His eyes warn you, beckoning your full attention. He's not giving up without a fight, and it stirs a wicked heat in you. If Bedford approves, I don't see a reason not to. Nate's a perfectly compatible chaperone for Sophie. Caleb gives you a subtle wink, and you remembered when you and Nate chaperoned his erotic liaison with Cicely to prevent suspicion. This must be my way of returning, or his way of returning the favor. What do you say, Sophie? Shall we hunt together? Your chest pounds as he leans close, as if daring the crowd to suspect. You fight not to show any signs on your face of his allure over you. We still have much to discuss from our previous conversation. I hate to leave our lessons unfinished. Hunt with him. Mina. You can assist my husband. I have no issue practicing my marksmanship with Nate. He grins at you. However, a few of the guests exchange skeptical glances. Oh, now hold on a moment. Is it truly safe? Don't tell me you don't trust your own wife, Lawrence. With a gun? Show of hands, how many of you trust your wives with a gun? Only a couple of men raise their hands, promptly by the glares from their wives. Her Grace, certainly dressed for this occasion. It'd be a shame for her not to at least attempt. She's quite skilled, I assure you. Let her put all your fears to rest. He places the gun in your arms. You're caught off guard by the weight of it. But the gentry's eyes on you, you mask your initial strain. It's just a rifle. He moves close behind you, lowering his voice. Think back to our bow and arrow lesson. That is far heavier than a bow. You feel the heat of his body against your back as his hands slide over your hands, fixing your placement and position. A sense of calm floods you in the comfort of his arms, causing you to all but forget your audience. It's hard to stay mad at him when this feels so right. Your surroundings fall away, bringing you back to the archery lesson. Before the argument, before this newfound tension, just safety in his touch. You're capable, Duchess. Line up the sight, steady yourself, then pull when you're ready. Pull the trigger. Absorbed by the curl of his breath against your ear, you release the tension in your body, square your shoulders, and aim. With a sharp inhale, you fire at a hay bale, and the bullet flies through the air. Good heavens! And hits the target dead on. Many of the guests gasp, and a few even laugh and cheer. Ah, a direct hit. My, you're as good a shot as any here. Better than a handful, even. Well, does that ease your concerns? I think everyone is more than satisfied, Your Grace. Your husband gives a curt nod amid the commotion and awe of the customers. Am I the only one who's more worried by the revelation that Sophie can shoot? Listen, and we're coming for you! What cause do you have for concern, Mina? It's not as though you've ever been unkind to her, right? Impeccable shot, Sophie. You're not sure if your excitement stems from the adoration of your peers or the heat of his proud hands kneading your shoulders, until the other wise bring you back to reality. How delightfully, novel. Sophie's full of surprises. I may have to see if that tutor is available. I should be, like to be the talk of the party someday. You brush off his hands as you sharply are reminded of his intention to leave. What good is opening myself up to more intimacy if he's only going to leave? Sophie, are you still in the mood to hunt? Yeah, why don't you take off? Begin running. Let's see if I can hit you in the ass. Of course. You pair off and embark to your assigned hunting grounds, refusing to meet his eyes as you walk. The hound follows closely by your side. The two of you soon disappear into the pristine stillness of the woods. You can't help but gaze around it in the awe of the sylvan beauty of the scene. Do you think... You hold up a hand, not even looking in his direction. Alright, then I'll whisper. Perhaps we could have a lesson on animal tracking right now. Please, you'll scare the animals away. Apologies. Your heart squeezes at the misery in his tone, and you immediately want to take your words back. I really want to squander what little time we have left together in silence. No. Last thing you want to do is give him the cold shoulder to hide how you feel about him. You offer a cordial smile. But maybe you could alert me when we're nearing good pheasant hunting grounds? He looks perplexed at your words. Your stomach drops with fear. Have you already spoiled this time together with your mixed signals? Perhaps I am wrong, but I sense that our conversation yesterday still troubles you. I must confess confusion as to why your feelings have changed. I thought we both agreed this was a temporary arrangement. That's not the point. Then what is? Please, Duchess, can you tell me? I just... feeling hurt. By me. Is it truly that surprising? How could I not be after learning how lightly you hold our friendship? Oh, Sophie, I assure you, my esteem for you runs deep indeed. And yet you were already planning your departure without us so much as telling me. I thought you saw me as more than just a pupil. Clearly I was wrong, so forgive me for taking my time to come around to that fact. He reaches out as if to comfort you, but thinks better of it. This hand, balling into a fist, the turmoil inside of him is plainly written across his face. I never meant... You must understand. I understand you perfectly. That's precisely the problem. Draws closer to you, his hands finding your waist. His gaze blazes to life, burrowing so deeply in your soul that you have to steady yourself or come undone. I recognized from the moment we met that I'd never have another like you in my tutelage. There is not another like you on this earth. You insult me yourself by believing that you're just another pupil to me. Don't you think that I too struggle with the thought of moving on? You could stand to show it. Just yesterday you were all too casual about it. The fire in your voice catches him off guard. Just beneath the shock in his eyes, you recognize a kind of frustrated hunger. You've never snapped at him before, and his body is drawn in by it, even as his face is taken aback. Show you. Have I not shown you every day? When we're together, perhaps, but when we're apart, I begin to wonder. His fingers trace the curves of your hips, and he pulls you in until the cold, hard rifle separates your bodies. He gently sets the gun down at your side, then tucks one hand beneath your chin, tilting your face up to meet his gaze. Then I must show you hourly, nay, each and every moment how I feel. He strokes your cheek softly with a thumb, restraining longing written in every tense muscle, every line of his face. His voice drops to a husky whisper, drawing you into his orbit with each word. Is that what you want? You feel your resolve slipping away with every second. You ache to feel his body pressed harder against your bosom. How badly do you want that, Duchess? Your lips part as his hand slides to the small of your back. His touch spirals through you, gathering between your legs an aching pulse of need. Make him work for it. Lean close, you can almost taste his lips, his eyes close in anticipation, but you pull back with a grin. We should watch how we comport ourselves. If you're leaving soon, that's all the more reason to be careful. You let your hand slither across his waist as you peel yourself away. Your skin burns with ache where he held you, but you remain strong. I can't risk it all because of your fleeting affections. He watches you in stunned silence, his eyes hooded with need. I assure you, Duchess, they're not fleeting. That remains to be seen. You quirk your brow at him and saunter away down the trail following the hound. I may have forgiven him, but why not have a little bit of fun with it? The dog's body goes rigid as he points across the stream. You follow the line of the animal's fixed gaze, and there, in the undergrowth, it's a pheasant. Move carefully, Sophie. It doesn't know we're here yet. My eyes droop with tiredness. This book is, much to be desired. I'm pretty much, I think a lot of you have shared that sentiment as well, but feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. You and him creep closer to the stream, taking care not to make a sound. Once you've got that good line sight, you raise your gun. Whenever you're ready, signal the hound to flush out the pheasant. Once you have the gun perfectly steady, you signal with your hand, and the dog lunges forward, barking to scare out the pheasant. The pheasant flies out of the undergrowth, wings moving rapidly as it whisks into the sky. You train your sights on it, you have a clear shot. Why not? You pull the trigger, the bullet hits the pheasant right in the breast, sending it crashing down into the undergrowth. Oh my, I got it. I can't believe I got it. Diana would be proud. The dog trots over to retrieve the bird. As you look on, he takes your hand, moving his thumb over your palm. I hope you weren't imagining me when you took the shot. Must I be worried? The fault is yours for teaching me to aim more mere hours before hurting my feelings. Jest aside, I do hope I may make it up to you. I hope so too, sooner rather than later. It would seem you have a very finite number of opportunities left. Sophie, it's not as though I'm leaving tomorrow or next... Cuts himself off, the sound of heavy footsteps approaching, snapping twigs and crumbling leaves on the ground. You can't mistake the sound of my husband's indiscreet walk. At least we saw one pheasant. You literally killed one pheasant. You and him emerge into the clearing, not far ahead of the Duke. Swings his gun around haphazardly as Mina follows a safe distance away. Careful where you point that thing! What is he doing? Perhaps he hasn't caught anything yet. Duke's eyes narrow as he spots you and Nate. Sophie, no wonder this blasted forest is empty. You've been right on our tails, scaring all the game away. He points out a deep gouge in the nearby tree. We need to be careful of the wild boar he's been through here. Their tusks aren't to be trifled with. Oh, is this how he dies? Game of Thrones style? A tusk bores him. Got your husband a feeling of sick dread coming over you. Lawrence, let's head elsewhere. There's a... Empty-handed! I need to get some action going. The Duke raises his gun, aiming into the trees before you can yell at him to stop. The sound of a gunshot echoes through the woods. You stumble forward, shaken by the noise, but Nat held his arm out to steady you. Lawrence, what are you doing? You hear a high-pitched shriek and cover your ears. The forest ground shakes beneath you. What in the... Please let that be some noisy bird. Suddenly an angry boar bolts through the trees, crushing everything in its path, and it's headed straight towards you. You drop the gun, adrenaline pumping through your veins, and you look around quickly, desperate to find cover. Leap into the bushes, hide under a tree. Hide under a tree. You dash over to a sturdy tree and crouch, nearly escaping the boar's path. Your chest heaves as you hide. Your ears ring with adrenaline. Please don't come here. You've scarcely caught your breath when you see the animal circling back to rush you. There's nowhere left for me to go. Panicked, you freeze as the boar bears down on you. You close your eyes, hoping it'll be over soon. The strong arms tighten around your waist, pulling you into the brushwood. Sophie, stay down. Nate raises the gun and lightning fast shoots at the ground just in front of the boar's feet. Squealing in terror, the boar bolts in the opposite direction, disappearing into the undergrowth. Away, beast. His breath comes in heaves, his body rigid and braced for danger. One arm stretched out to shield you while the other tracks the boar's escape. Nate. You don't even realize your arms are already outstretched to him until he's run into them and cradled you. Sophie, please tell me you're alright. Tell me you haven't been hurt. The heat of his body soothes yours, slowly pulling you out of your panic-fueled daze as he hurriedly inspects your arms for scrapes and bruises. I thought I was done for. He runs his hands over your arms, his eyes are attuned to every tremor that courses through your body. You're safe now. Just breathe with me a moment. He takes your hand, tenderly pressing it against his beating chest. You hold his gaze as if hypnotized, breathing in sync with him. Though you manage to calm down, his eyes are still filled with unbridled fear. His feelings for you are clearer than they've ever been. Nate. Almost involuntarily, your hand drifts down his broad chest. He leans in closer to you, parting his full lips. When a crunch in the nearby undergrowth brings you back to your senses, you pull away just as your husband and Mina approach. Thank heavens you two are unharmed. I knew you shouldn't have come along, Sophie. You were nearly killed. Oh, 'cause you help things. Nate takes a last glance at you before he shoots to his feet to confront the dude. Is that supposed to be an apology? Your own wife was nearly mauled because of your recklessness. If you knew there was a boar around, you should have warned me. He stares daggers at your husband. His body grows dangerously tense now, almost as if there was a presence of the boar. Any trained hunter would have noticed the signs. You attack the Duchess over her lack of experience, yet you're the one being reckless. Be very, very careful how you speak to me. Now I'm gonna watch this unfold. I've been nothing but deferential to you, Lawrence. But there comes a point when even my patience fails. The raw, loathsome edge in his voice alone is enough to make your breath hitch. You're transfixed as he advances on your husband, all for you. So what of your patience? What does that matter to me? At the very least, your wife should matter to you. You're fortunate of their guest having witnessed your apathy on this day. Who are you to admonish me? No one was hurt, were they? The boar's gone, is it not? Open your bloody eyes, your grace. Sophie almost died, and what an embarrassing way to go would that have been? You, Nate, and Lawrence watches in shock as Mina fumes. Or worse, what if it had run in my direction? Mighty believe you would have warded off an attack on me the way Nate did Sophie. I should have partnered with him.
Miss Bitmore, calm down. I simply...
No, help your wife. Uncanny. It seems men and women alike are susceptible to Mina's scorn. Shuffling his feet, Lawrence walks over to you and manages a husbandly lift, pulling you up onto your own. That's because you're passively sitting there, letting your shit husband walk all over you, when most of these people literally need a stern yelling at, and they'll straighten up in no time and start worshipping you like the queen you are. But I digress.
I'm sorry, Sophie. It was reckless of me, but I'm relieved you're all right.
You sigh, aware this is the best you'll get from him. No, it's not, but you could try. Thank you for apologizing, Lawrence. I'm willing to put this behind us. That's all. Oh, no. At least he apologized to me. Nate swallows hard, and you can see his hands ball into fists at his sides, but after a few moments he nods, seemingly in control once again. Of course. Forgive my tone, Lord Bedford. I'm simply worried for the Duchess's safety. Shall we head back? Instead of responding, Lawrence locks his arms in yours and escorts you to the mansion. Nate and Mina follow close behind. At the estate, maids and footmen scurry around to prepare for the outdoor luncheon. The Duke drops your arm as soon as you're among the gentry and moves away.
Sophie, could I have a moment?
I suppose, but we should join the others soon.
In truth, that's what I hope to discuss. What would you say to a picnic with me, just me, somewhere more private?
Surely people would talk.
After facing down a wild boar, no one would blink an eye if you needed a moment to rest inside. I could meet you behind the house shortly after. After what we just faced, I must speak to you more freely. Away from here, I can't hold this in much longer. I could use some alone time, yes.
Very well, though I'll warn you that my tastes have grown quite refined of the late.
I'm up for a challenge, indeed I relish in one.
You look over at the party guests gathering for the luncheon. I hope you have an idea as to make our getaway.
Feign a swoon. I hear they're quite difficult to argue with.
He gives you a subtle wink before the two of you approach the rest of the group. Sophie, I just heard about the boar. I'm so glad you're uninjured.
If it weren't for Nate, it'd be a different story. I did what anyone would have. Yeah, no, I'm just gonna need you to shut up. Glare at your husband out of the corner of your eye. Of course he's not concerned for you.
It's now or never. Let's give them a show.
Drawing a sharp breath, raising a hand to your forehead as you sway on the spot.
Is the sky going dark? I find myself barely...
As you fall dramatically, lean delicately against a chair.
Oh!
You collapse heavily against Nate. Clutching your chest as you fall, he catches you, wrapping his arms around your waist.
Sophie!
It's a good thing Nate was here again.
I can't.
Yes, well, he carefully helps you to the ground. You lay motionless, opening your eyes just long enough to see Cicely's lips curl into a grin, catching onto your plan.
Bring me the salt. She's fainted, dead away.
Moments later, she passes the pungent salts beneath your nose, and you make a show of startling back to consciousness.
Oh dear, the attack on the forest. I find myself too weak to stand. Why don't you head inside? Perhaps Mr. Pippins can escort you.
Nate tucks an arm around you to support more of your weight and lead you away from the luncheon. Lean on me, Your Grace. You'll be better after a rest. You fight back a grin, knowing that there are eyes still on you as he holds you closer, whispering in your ear. Brilliant performance, Duchess. You hear the hubbub of the party return as you hobble away, your backs to the guests now.
Was it convincing?
I'd fallen for it myself if I didn't know any better. You make your way out of sight to a secluded glade. He spreads out some food retrieved from the inside. Your mouth waters at the sight.
I hadn't realized how hungry I'd become.
Hunting is a physical endeavor. Luckily, the cook has given us quite a hearty spread, shall we? You need no more incentive to dig into the feast. You enjoy the food as the heat of the day warms your skin pleasantly. Sophie, there's something I want to say. His face turns somber, and he takes your hand in his, squeezing it softly. I owe you an apology for how I spoke to you the other day. It was callous of me.
Nate. Why did it take a boar attack? If you were going to apologize, then you should have done it earlier instead of letting me wander all day where we stand. If I have to nearly die to get you to empathize with me, our problems run much deeper. You feel your eyes welling up as you speak, but there's no denying how good it feels to say it all out loud. You are right, I betrayed your trust. Dismissiveness is not new to me. It's how I've been spoken to all of my life, even as a duchess. but I need someone who listens to my feelings the first time.
I promise I'll never make that mistake again. I aim to prove myself to you through my actions. Seeing you in danger today brought on a fear unlike any I've ever felt. If you had been hurt, He shakes his head, throat bobbing, as his eyes glisten with unshed tears. I don't know what I would have done, Sophie. I know I can't bear you believing I don't care for you.
He intertwines his fingers with yours, caressing the back of your hand with his thumb. Do you truly mean that? Because I can't continue to pursue an intimate friendship if it's but a passing fancy for you.
It's so much more than that. The way I feel about you, there's nothing passing about it. I won't lie, I will have to leave eventually. Your husband will likely demand it. But until then, I want to cherish every moment we have left.
He gently leans his forehead against yours. His gaze is fond and open, and suddenly you have no fight left within yourself.
My feelings for you are very real, Sophie. I wouldn't leave if I didn't have to.
You melt into a pool of butterflies, tender to the touch. His words float over you like a dream. You are miracles, tiny stars dancing in the sky. You'd stay for as long as I wish?
I'm not leaving a moment before.
I may need more convincing, Mr. Pippin. You smirk, gazing up at him through half-lidded eyes. Convince me with your words. His lips curve into a ravenous grin. He leans forward, his breath drifting over your ear.
Well, very well, Duchess. Let me make it as clear as day just how badly I need to stay. I need your presence as my lungs need air.
You feel two vibrations. One where his honeyed words tickle your ear, and one far lower.
In the same room, I must be next to you, but even then, I crave to be inside you, so badly I ache all over you.
Precisely where do you ache?
The whole being inside of you part, ma'am. What part of that did you not understand?
It starts here. His fingers find your ankle as he scoots even closer to you on the picnic blanket, nearly flush against you now.
Then works its way up here.
His fingers tiptoe up your leg over your skirts.
But the worst ache is right about here.
He's taking a sharp breath as he slides up your inner thighs, stopping just shy of where you're becoming damp. And what happens if we're not alone? What if others in the room? Would you be able to hold back?
Even the holiest of saints would struggle to resist the temptation of you. And I'm far, far naughtier. Once I've reached for you, I won't leave until you've had your fill. It would take every single servant on your estate to pry me off of your body.
You say this nowadays, and oh boy!
Oh, cancelled. Greedy. You push your hips forward to feel the fabric. His fingers graze against the apex of your thighs.
Show me, please.
Finally, he presses his mouth to yours. Your lips cling together softly at first, and then more urgency. As your free hands find his chest, your hands move over his shirt across the ridges of his muscles, warm and beckoning. Sophie. You can feel the smile in your kiss. In his kiss, his lips moving in perfect rhythm against yours. He steals each breath you take, hungry to have all of you. Heat radiates off of his body, and you want nothing more than to stoke the flames. You lean in to kiss him. Your lips inches from his own. He tilts his head towards yours, but you pull away. What? You shake your head, a coy smile playing on your lips as he gazes at you with surprise.
Not yet.
You hover over him, lips hovering along the line of his throat, watching his anticipation grow.
Please. You tease the side of his neck, trailing a feather-light fingertip over his skin. He arches in your touch, desperate for more friction. Patience. You flick your tongue over his earlobe, relishing how his body quakes, spurred on by every delicate touch. When you see the way he looks at you, eyes spinning with desire, that's how you know he's ready. Your lips crash into his. Oh. You draw out every last bit of pleasure as his moans ripple through your body, setting off a cascade of satisfaction and pleasure. I just want you ever since the moment we met. I've always. But as you tug his body closer to yours, the rest of his words are lost against your mouth, sending him deeper under your spell. With every kiss, you feel as if the sky is about to break open, sending you spiraling into space. Sophie. He groans softly, low in his throat. His arms encircle you, gathering you against him, then rolling you onto your back. You are so. As if your body is singing, echoing again each of his kisses and reverberating long throughout your being. You feel the earth moving around you, changing, reforming under your bodies. It's all too much, but still it's not enough. After seeing you with that boar, I expect more aggression in your touch. Oh no. Pretty much it was what you kind of thought, except it involved, hands. Anyway, colors burst across your vision, a kaleidoscope of sensation. Your body feels like it's collapsing, rebuilding all at once, overflowing from the heat of his kisses. You lie sprawled on the blanket, your body warm, devoid of tension, your fingers still dancing along his skin. It brings me joy to see how quenched you are after this light picnic. You gaze at his dreamlike features in the sunlight, wondering if he buzzes with delight as you do. When you finally find the words, they come out slowly. Have I quenched your appetite as well? No amount of you could ever satisfy me, because any amount of you is more than I deserve. You're filled with relief and a slowly rekindling hunger as his words wash over you, with his hand crushing your cheek. Your touch is heaven to me, Duchess. Too much for me to take, and yet never enough. What must I do to make you realize that? You could moan louder. Oh, God. Listen, we're not going to talk about this right now. He chuckles, dropping a final kiss on your forehead before escorting you back to the house. Hand in hand, you feel lighter, more secure in the strength of his feelings than you've ever been. A few days later, you and your husband again dine in silence, but your thoughts are deliciously occupied with his silky promises from the hunt. A letter came for you today. Perhaps I'll write a letter to Nate describing my feelings. Dear Lord, woman, is your head even attached to your body? Here, look this over. I have business to attend to. The Duke tosses an open envelope onto your plate. You jump, wiping some sauce from it with a handkerchief. As your husband, I will cover all the expenses. These kinds of tedious events can be quite costly. But don't expect me to take part in the women's business at the shops and whatnot. Having them around will be a trial enough. But Lawrence, whatever you... Why, this is Mama's handwriting. The Duke strides out of the room uninterested, leaving you to read the letter alone. With a simple sigh, you open the envelope. She and Louise will be meeting us in London for Louise's coming out season. Oh, that's sweet. Without further ado, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Hit down in the description below. Links to social media, Discord, and a few links to support me and my content. Without further ado, I was gonna say, hey, I'll tell you at the end of the video what that would mean, and the whole, moan louder. But then I sit here and I question if you care. Like, there's just sometimes I feel like I'm a little TMI with you guys, right? I know most of you are just here for the choices, and a lot of you don't even leave comments, so... I don't know, it just seems like a weird world we live in, where a lot of people just, I'll just say this, more and more care is put into women. A lot of things involving men are passed off. I don't know. It because I think the problem is there's not much um pressure from the world per se in terms of, especially for me as a guy. I can pretty much, and I've pretty think I pretty much think I speak for a lot of guys. We disconnect ourselves from what the world expects of us, right? Um, I myself have surpassed what the world's expectations are of me, right? So like I'm stronger than most men. I am able to do more than most, and a lot of things, even in my current state, right? But I speak for a lot of other guys who are just like, I just want to be happy. I just like the small things. I just want this, and this, and don't really have great expectations, or how can I put this? We don't really take joy per se. So the whole moaning louder, or things like that. I don't know. I'm just talking about in a general sense. Um, versus women are just more influenced, more open, more showing, more telling, more everything, right? Like, to me, women very much are very easy to read, transparent, and everything else. Yeah, yeah, no, you know you're doing your job. Let's put it that way. um, versus guys, I don't know. Some are easy, some are hard. Um, we'll just leave that. We'll just leave it at that. It's how I feel today. It's how I feel in general, and a lot lately, and a lot's been going on, and it's something I could sit and talk to you for about 20 minutes on, and dive more into and give you more of a thing. But I'm sure a lot of you just don't care, and that's kind of what I'm getting back to, and also TMI. Anyway, catch you all later. Peace out.